Question 8 on Chapter 12, homework for computing whether there is an outlier. So we have a data set of radish heights in millimeters, and we're given the 5-number summary. So the key here, the first step, is recognizing what the 5-number summary gives us. So this is the minimum observation in the data set. Q1 is 7. The median is 9.5 millimeters. Q3 is 10 millimeters. And the maximum observation is 21 millimeters. So how do we compute whether there are outliers present? Well, we have to compute the lower fence and the upper fence. That is the cutoffs for how extreme an observation needs to be to consider it an outlier. So to compute the lower fence, we're going to look 1.5 interquartile ranges below the bottom of the box on a box plot. That is 1.5 interquartile ranges below Q1. So the formula is Q1 minus 1.5 times the interquartile range. So what's Q1? We can see from above that Q1 is 7. Minus 1.5 times the interquartile range. And what's the interquartile range? Q3 minus Q1. So that's going to be 10 minus 7. So then copying this down, we have 7 minus 1.5, and we'll simplify what's in the parentheses. 10 minus 7 is 3. 7 minus 1.5 times 3 is going to be 4.5. And 7 minus 4.5 should give us 2.5. Now the upper fence is a very similar calculation. That's Q3 plus 1.5 times the interquartile range. So what we're doing when we're looking at our upper fence is we're looking 1.5 interquartile ranges above the top of the box on a box plot to see if there are outliers up there. So let's compute this cutoff. Q3 we can see from above is 10 plus 1.5 times the interquartile range, which again is 10 minus 7, Q3 minus Q1. So that is 10 plus 1.5 times 3 again, which is 10 plus 4.5. So our upper fence is 14.5. So what does this mean? This means any observation above the upper fence, so that is above 14.5 millimeters, that's bigger than 14.5 millimeters, or below the lower fence, which is 2.5 millimeters, would be considered an outlier. So we can see that we have at least one outlier in this data set because our maximum observation is 21. So it certainly would be an outlier because it is above 14.5 millimeters. We know we don't have any outliers in the lower end of the distribution because the minimum observation is 3. And so there are no observations then below 2.5 millimeters. I hope this helps.